What's up, guys? My name is Zach, and today I am driving a 2023 Chevy Bolt EV 2LT. Up front is a single electric motor paired to a fully electric drivetrain system. Now, I am super excited to be driving this Bolt for two reasons. First of all, I love bringing you guys new cars and, of course, solid EVs that are coming to the market. But the second reason is that at the time of filming, yesterday, not even 24 hours ago, Chevrolet came out and said that they were discontinuing the Chevy Bolt. So I reviewed one back when they were new, and now I'm filming them at the end of their lifespan in 2023. But if you would like your vehicle filmed on the channel in a similar manner to this EV, you can head on over to my website, zackparrell.com/submit. It's a quick and easy submission form, and you would get a video of your car, just like the one you're watching now of this Bolt. But let's get back to that all-electric drivetrain with that single motor up front. Well, that single motor is good for about 200 horsepower, and because it is an EV, you feel all of that torque. The torque number's in, I believe, the 240s, which is very, very solid and very, very lovable. I really, really enjoy the driving experience and driving feel of the Chevy Bolt. Always have, and I assume I always will since I've driven the bookends. Now, range according to the EPA is 259 miles, which is fantastic, especially for a smaller EV like this. So how does it feel to actually drive the Chevy Bolt EV? I actually really like the driving experience. Like I said, you have plenty of power. Steering is pretty good. Visibility is a little tight. The front A-pillars were so big, they actually put a window in to help out with visibility, much like the Fiat 500L. So I don't love that, but actually driving the Bolt, I'm seeming to have a pretty good time. With that stuff out of the way, let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me, I do have a single digital screen that works as my gauge cluster. I do have my speed in the middle, and I have a lot of cool graphics to look at that I pleasantly enjoy. The biggest of which on the left is showing me my range. Unfortunately, when I put into sport mode, nothing changes on here, but to be expected in a vehicle at this price point. On the steering wheel on the left, I have my pre-collision warning as well as my cruise control options. This does have adaptive cruise control, which was an add-on option for $375, and I will not be buying a car that doesn't have that. Off to the right, I do have voice commands, phone options, and my little scroll wheel. The overall look and feel of the steering wheel is great. I do have one single paddle shifter off to the left. That is for the regenerative braking. And the fit and finish is pretty nice for a 2LT. Off to the left, I do have two climate control vents, as well as my headlight and gauge dimmer switches. Moving on to the door, I have my lock and unlock, power mirrors, and power windows. Moving into the center, I get two more climate control vents, and then the infotainment system. This is GM's typical system that you'll see in most of their products in the current era, 2023. And this does have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. I can open up my camera while I'm not driving, which is really, really nice to see. And of course, this is what the backup cameras look like. Very, very good and very adequate for 2023. And overall, I really like this system. I think this system works really well. I think it's rather intuitive, and I'm sad to see Chevy moving away from it. Down below, we do have the climate controls, so I do have auto, heat, of course. No dual zone. I would have really liked to have seen dual zone climate, but not a deal breaker at this price point like it is in the Honda Civics. Because it is the 2LT, it does get the upgraded heated seats and heated steering wheel, of which those controls will be found down here. Then we do have a wireless charger and a couple of buttons. The far left checkered flag is the sport mode button. Then we have traction control off in the center and lane keep assist off to the right. Then we have the shifter off to the left. This is a push button shifter. Little odd to get used to if you haven't driven a vehicle with a push button before, but not the end of the world. And I have a power parking brake off to the right. But then we have cup holders. So we will do a big friggin' bottle test here in the 2023 Chevy Bolt EV. And unfortunately it fails. I mean, just visually looking at it, you could have told me that it failed early on, and alas, it does. Then we do get a little center console and the seats. I have always complained about the bottom of the Chevy Bolt seats being too hard. When I plop myself down, it feels like I'm sitting on a park bench rather than an automotive seat. And I don't like that. That was my complaint with the 2017 that I drove. It's still a complaint in the 2023. However, I think the seats are decent besides that. The material's relatively nice. Like I said, they're heated. The driver's seat is power, so plenty of nice goodies to go off of there. However, speaking of seats, we do have back seats, so let's go do a back seat review. All right, so we're in the back of the Chevy Bolt, and a couple of things to note. First of all, actually, knee room is good and headroom is good. I'm not a small guy. I don't usually fit very well in the back seats of most cars, especially in this price point and in this segment. So I'm very happy to report that I am pretty comfortable back here. Down below, I do have USB-C and USB-A chargers. Love that mix of technology. Whatever you need to charge, you can do down there. I do have lights up here, of course, power windows, all that stuff. So nothing really too interesting past that. And the owner, Carl, does use this for his young son. So car seats fit in here really, really well. That was one of the big selling points for him besides the electric part. So kudos to the Bolt. But let's hop around back. We'll take a quick look at the trunk and cargo space, and then we'll talk about the looks. All right, so we're on the back of the Chevy Bolt EV, and not really too much to note. It isn't a huge trunk, although it is not that small, so it's decently sizable. I can come under here, and I do have a spare tire, which is nice. Those are seemingly going away from new cars. And if we come up here, we do have this little privacy cover, which is a little flimsy, but that's okay. Overall, not an amazing trunk space, but not the worst in the world. Now we gotta talk about the looks, and I like the look of this Bolt. I think the facelift that they did since the beginning is relatively nice, and this is finished in bright blue metallic, which was a $395 option. Chevy is so unimaginative with some of their paint names. Why wouldn't you call this oceanic blue or deep crystal mica? Bright blue metallic. I guess bright blue wasn't specific enough. But I digress. It's a pretty good looking EV. But now let's get on to my final thoughts. What do I think driving the Bolt EV at the end of its life? It's recently ended life. Well, have to get really honest with you. When I originally reviewed the Bolt, I didn't like it. I was rather mean to it. I said that it wasn't worth the money. I said the seats were too hard. I complained several different ways. And here on the Shooting Cars YouTube channel, there are two things that are important to this channel: the cars and personal growth. I've changed. I've matured in the several years since I've driven a Bolt. And at that time, I had only driven a couple of EVs. And at the time, I thought that Bolt Premier was too expensive. But now, with EVs growing every single year, I've driven so many of the new EVs. I've even had EVs of my own for several weeks as press cars. I've gotten to learn about them. I've gotten to see and feel what it's like to drive and own an electric car. Now that I have that new frame of reference and that newfound maturity about me, we're losing a very good car. Knock a couple of those features off, like the blue color, like the adaptive cruise control, like the dual level charging cord, and this vehicle is under $30,000. The base price of this is $28,000. That is cheap for an electric car. Pair that to the Mazda 3, my favorite automobile and the car that I own personally. Well, if you get up to the premium, which is just a mid-level non-turbo, you're looking at $31,000. This car is cheaper, more affordable. The Chevy Bolt EV isn't the EV that we deserved, but it's the EV that we so desperately needed. If we are going to make this grandiose switch away from fossil fuels and into an electric future, we need affordable cars. So my apologies. I'm sorry I was mean to you, Bolt. I really, truly am. But it seems that my apology has come just a little too late. GM said that they're canceling this car to open up other avenues for other EVs, building cars like the Cadillac Lyriq and the GMC Hummer. And while those cars are unique and special and something else, this car was for people with regular lives that didn't need anything flashy, but they wanted an electric car. They wanted to take that step. This was, at the time, the best option. Now, no more. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Chevy Bolt. You were too good for this world. And now, The world has turned its back on you. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Carl for letting me take out his Chevy Bolt EV from 2023. I was so excited to drive this car, and we had this actually planned before Chevy announced that they were canceling it. So had we filmed this 1 week earlier, this would have been a completely different experience, and I would have had completely different thoughts. But Carl is absolutely awesome to work with. I'm filming a handful of his vehicles today that you'll see out on the channel a little bit later on, of which I can't wait to show you as well. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.